The intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Karoline Leavitt upped the ante in the press room by quickly and decisively halting Kaitlan Collins' effort at confrontation, even though Collins' motives were clear.
Dr. Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate Intelligence Community, including the acting chair of the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement that he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
Claiming that Tulsi Gabbard was employing political theater to support her case against Obama, she came haughty and belligerent. Karoline, however, answered coolly, exposing media deception and hypocrisy. Collins tried to discredit Tulsi, but Tulsi revealed the plan and shocked everyone. After Collins made a massive live error by confounding government officials, Tulsi stayed calm and turned the topic over to Karoline, who handled it with tremendous composure.
Well, first I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
Karoline, who took Tulsi's position, stepped up the pressure and skillfully revealed Collins' attempt to spin Rubio's comments into a misleading headline. Without shouting, she deftly dismantled the phony story, revealing the media's misinformation and proving that Rubio never said what Collins said. She set a new standard for holding the media accountable with sharp fact-based corrections, with her composed, precise delivery, which did more than defend it, dominated.
The evidence and the intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Networks were harshly chastised by Karoline for not doing fact-checking and for accepting the flawed Steele dossier at its value. Hosts and TV programs celebrated it as Trump's death, and even comedians joked about it. But as it became evident that it was only speculation, the loudest voices ceased to speak. Karoline forced the media to confront their bias and keep the facts in mind by refusing to back down.
And he also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign.
Karoline described how uncritical trust in the Steele dossier led to years of misinformation and strife. Credibility must be earned, not given, she told the media and viewers who had been misled. For years, Karoline calmly refuted Collins' effort to use Tulsi's revelations as political theater, proving that they were a fake meant to incite conflict and suppress unsettling information about Obama's legacy. Not only did she respond, but she also revealed the whole rotation in real time.
As for your second question, Kaitlan, I think who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working.
As Karoline provided fact after fact, Kaitlan's trust was clearly shaken. As the event unfolded in front of her, her typically collected approach weakened and you could almost feel her fumbling inside. This was more than just a counter-argument, it was a complete demolition. Not only did Karoline halt the spin, but she ruined it such that Kaitlan's awkward face was all that was left on CNN. The room became silent, the tension was palpable, and the cameras captured every second. The last blow was then delivered, by Karoline. A cool, precise takedown that eliminated any possibility of argument, deception, or escape.
I will just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this president made.
In front of all the cameras, Karoline calmly and precisely stopped Kaitlan Collins. Collins tried to bait Trump with a modified video of Tulsi talking about Iran policy, but Trump stayed composed and pointed out that the video was misleading. Karoline exposed how anti-Trump goals were served by the media's distortion of quiet moments into chaos. She highlighted the left's illogical desire for Russian participation, which was bolstered by confidential papers and briefings, as well as their phony moral outrage.
The documents revealed that the Obama administration did not publish a December 2016 presidential daily briefing that demonstrated that Russia did not steal the election. Trump was receiving these briefings at the time because he was president-elect. Are you of the view that that information was kept out of the briefing because then President-elect Donald Trump would have seen it?
I don't have any documents that speak to exactly what the new guidance was that was given as the reason for pulling that document, which, by the way, still has never been published until we released it last week, Friday. One could assume that they didn't want President Trump to see a document that came from the intelligence community that would contradict the Russia hoax narrative that began through the Hillary Clinton campaign with the Steele dossier.
Biden, Obama, and other top officials were directly involved and weren't kept in the dark about it, instead of stopping the polarizing lie. They used the media to control the conversation and denigrate Trump, promoting the Steele dossier as fact. The highest levels of dishonesty in this political infrastructure are now exposed by Karoline Leavitt. Those preaching conferences were penning lies behind closed doors, hoping the audience would not notice. But people are beginning to notice, and accountability is needed, whether it be via elections, the courts, or other means. The whole truth is a right of the American people. If Obama is charged, it will be up to the courts. But the damage was real and deliberate. Karoline found powerful insiders behind one of the biggest political ploys in modern history. Senior officials, spreading false information while claiming to be protecting democracy. This intentional sabotage, which weaponized agencies and undermined trust, was carried out by the media.
Do you or the White House believe that the Supreme Court's immunity decision protects Obama from prosecution?
And he wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable. And it's been 10 years of this. And I would just add, based on everything the director has said and declassified, all of you in this room should go through it and take a look at this report and review the intelligence, because unfortunately that hasn't happened. And many of the people who perpetuated this hoax, Clapper, Andy McCabe, James Comey, and many others, have been hired by major networks in this room to go on television and continue to spew these lies, knowing that they are lies.
Instead of questioning the narrative, legacy news became the narrative. Unverified leaks and conspiracy theories were accepted as gospel. In an effort to achieve the aim of thwarting Trump at any costs, integrity was compromised. Anchors became activists, editors became political strategists, and they put creating headlines ahead of being truthful. Without doubt, the Steele dossier was extensively circulated despite being little more than unverified material. As the facts emerged and the tale unraveled, there were no retractions, just subtle changes to new headlines in the hopes that people would forget. But it was Karoline Leavitt who reminded millions that they were entitled to more. Insiders must quit changing the facts without facing consequences. The damaged division, distrust, and broken faith remains, because what happened was not journalism but rather political strategists using press credentials to suppress dissent and skew reality. Karoline exposed the assault on collaboration, honesty, and dishonesty. Now that the lies have been revealed, responsibility is essential. It is imperative that the days of unchecked power and media manipulation cease. The American people deserve the real truth, and voices like Karoline's are finally tipping the scales in their favor. We appreciate you watching.